And good afternoon, Awesemo baseball fans. Terry McBride here with Gundacker. We're going to take you through the baseball slate that we've got coming up. This is the strategy show before lock. I'm renaming the show. We're not sure if it's the strategy show, if it's live before lock. It's both. It's neither. We're here. We're going to talk through the two-game slate, both championship series. We've got the Sox and the Astros, and we've got the Dodgers and the Braves. Gun, we are brought to the fans here by Jock Market today, which is great because we've talked about them a few times this week. It's a site we're excited about. We'll talk about them a little bit more. We need everybody to hit the like and subscribe button down below. Yep, I'm hearing myself talk now. That's a little, that might be my fault. So are we live? Because I'm not seeing us on YouTube. Unless that's my fault. Okay, cool. So anyway, we're brought to you by Jock Market, despite the little clunkiness there. Gun, how you doing, man?
Man, we are running around like chickens with our heads cut off, man. We got baseball, we got NBA tonight, got to prep for NFL tomorrow, man. It's fun, but it can be exhausting real quick. So I'm excited to watch the Astros and Red Sox continue to bludgeon each other, and then hopefully the Braves can bounce back after the other night.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a couple times. I talked about it yesterday with Max, but every Yankees fan that I know is rooting for the Braves at this point. So yeah, we need those guys to take a stranglehold on the series here. But yeah, let's get into talking about the pitching options on this slate as we start things up here. What are you seeing overall? We've got kind of a mixed bag and interesting slate of pitching options where I don't know that we've got a good standout option in terms of a guy that we can reliably say is going to pitch deep into the game and perform well here. What are you seeing in general overall for this slate in terms of pitching?
Yeah, we really don't have a rock to stand on here. Oscar Inoa projected to open and then hand it over to Smiley. So you can't really project much longevity there. Chris Sale has really struggled to go deep. Hasn't seen 3 innings since September 28th against the much less talented Baltimore Orioles. You might expect him to flip the switch and be good. But it's hard to pitch with confidence against this Astros team. Valdez, another guy that really has not shown a propensity to go super deep, only went 2.2 innings last time. A little bit more contact in that game than you would like it. And then Julio Urias is probably the best of them all, just based on his catalog of work over the course of the season. Has probably the greatest chance to see the 4th inning, but I think collectively there's not one guy here that I would feel great about going deep here. I think in the back of my mind you might feel like Chris Sale hits that beast mode, but I mean it's not a confident take here. So you're not going to feel great about pitching anyone, but I think Julio Urias is at the top for me. And we got him at 83% ownership. So he's at the top for a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's the issue. I mean, he's the one guy who and I don't even know necessarily that we're talking about a full 5 innings even. Like, I don't think we're chasing a win here with anybody. I think we're just chasing a few safe innings, a handful of strikeouts, and we'll take what we get. But I think he's the one that we can expect the most depth from, given the questions on the other guys, given the fact that we can pretty safely assume that Inoa is operating as kind of an opener type role. There would be upside if we thought he was getting 4 or 5 innings, I think, even though it's a really tough opponent. 26.9% strikeout rate over 91 innings for the kid this season. I just don't know that we can count on it. So yeah, I'm with you. We've got him ranked in the top spot on the site, in the top pitchers board. But thinking about that ownership, if we're looking at that and trying to find a little bit of leverage, is there a different direction that you want to go for that? Is that maybe pulling Framber into the conversation for you in any way, shape, or form? Or are you just kind of going with Urias and Sale? Like, what's the combination where you need 2 of them? And then what do you think in terms of the ownership where you only need 1?
Yeah, I think Framber being the least projected owned guy makes him a little bit more interesting. He does have an ability to eat some innings. I think Chris Sale's one of those guys, if he's not getting those strikeouts, he's having a bad time. Well, Framber Valdez has been a guy that, has held just a 20% K rate to righties this season, and the xFIP's been under 3.7, so he can get by with the ground balls, high ground ball rate to both sides of the plate, almost 70% to lefties and righties collectively. So if you just maybe ignore the strikeout part and just kind of look at an inning eater, and that's definitely what the Astros are looking for. Dusty Baker has not gotten much length out of starting pitching, neither is Alex Cora for that matter. But maybe you just lean on eating innings and get a strikeout here and there. And Valdez can pick up a strikeout against lefties. This Red Sox lineup throwing out Schwarber, Rafael Devers, Alex Verdugo, they could feed into his lefty strikeout splits. Schwarber has a 30+% K rate since beginning of last year against lefties. So there's a world where maybe Valdez as the cheapest option would kind of poke the fire of my tournament mindset. But yeah, there's not a high level of confidence, no warm and fuzzies on any of them. We're just really just playing ranges of outcomes with multiple lineups at this point on a 2-game slate.
Yeah, and that's where I'm looking at Valdez. On the FanDuel side of things, third ranked out of 3 on the board. We didn't bother to rank Noah because he's only going to be opening, and then Smiley I don't think is going to enter in the conversation all that well either. But we have Valdez at the bottom, a relatively solid chance of being the top overall pitcher. He's around 30%. Urias at the top of the board, not much further extended than that. And you get Valdez at only like 15% ownership. So you're getting him positively leveraged. He's only getting like half the leverage in terms of his probability of success. And then 15% ownership compared to where we've got Urias on the site. It's just a major, major difference. And I think he does have that talent. He's got the ground ball acumen that you mentioned. That was one of my favorite things to watch all season long, was his chase for a 70% season-long ground ball rate. And he got there. He had slipped below in September, and he got there at the end of the season. Negative 5.5 degree average launch angle for this season was just completely absurd. So I don't even care that he gives up a 44.4% hard hit percentage, because everything's going into the ground. I think there's some upside for safety. It's the strikeout question mark that you mentioned, but we do get some depth. He's averaging around 6 innings per start. You do get some strikeouts with the bonus of potential lefty on lefty strikeouts there. So that makes sense, and I do like that as kind of the under-owned option on this slate. Is there any universe where you're going to Smiley as the follower for the Braves, or off the top for the Braves, and just hoping for every other starter to get lit up and maybe he gives you 4 strikeouts over 2 innings as the opener?
Probably no on Smiley, but like you said, man, if you told me Noah had a shot at going multiple innings, definitely think he's talented enough and has the strikeout ability. But with him expected to be more so of an opener, I'm a little bit skeptical to put him in my lineup. But if he did come out firing in the first inning and they said, all right, let's play it out by out, and he snuck into 3 innings and got you 3-4 strikeouts, I do think is a range of outcomes. Like you said, I'm not really going to chase wins here. I'm not going to chase 5 innings from any of these starters. And at 6,700, if he matched a production scoring wise of, maybe a Sale or a Valdez, it makes them worth having in your lineup. And then of course, a lot of optimizers are not going to come out with the full Dodger stack against Enoa, but maybe you get 3 innings of Enoa and then a full stack to Dodgers against Smiley and get really weird in your mass century tournaments. And it's not as negatively correlated if they go off on Smiley. So I think I could like talk myself into it with a deep tournament mindset, but nothing makes sense about it.
Yeah, and look, 2-game slate, that's kind of what we're dealing with, especially when everything's just this messy in terms of pitching. We have no idea who's going deep, what's going to happen here. So I think that is totally viable. And that's something that Max and I talked about with one of the relievers yesterday, where, you don't start the starter. You hope that the starter gets lit, and then the reliever pitches clean on the back end. Kind of the opposite with an opener. You hope that he pitches through a couple clean on the beginning, and then the follower gets lit up, and you're playing the stack, and you get both sides of it. I think that's in play here today with him, and I think it's a reasonable enough option given the strikeout acumen. It's a tough spot. It's a tough team to ask to rack up a bunch of strikeouts against, but he's got the talent at least to do it. And then you talked to Urias, on the way in, but I think he's definitely, probably the best bet for both a little bit of depth and some upside. 185 and 2/3 over 32 starts. 26.2% strikeout rate. What I really like there is the clean contact numbers, 5.3% barrel rate on the season, 30.3% hard hit percentage. That's excellent. So he's very good at limiting the overall power. There's some strikeouts against the Braves, but they're better against lefties at avoiding the strikeout overall as an active roster. What do you expect in general from Urias here? Are you expecting 5+, or are you expecting him to come in and get yanked somewhere around the 5th inning, probably pinch hit 4, something like that?
I mean, I would hope to be par for the course getting into the 5th inning. If he gives that to Dave Roberts, I think, everyone's happy. If he got yanked right before the 5th inning, I would be somewhat salty about that. But yeah, I think that's the expectation, is trying to get him into that 5th inning, make him a little bit eligible for the win, although these games seem to be decided in the later innings anyway. So I really don't care about the win. And the quality start's almost a non-issue at this point, because no one's really going 6th inning. So yeah, 5 would be nice. One, you mentioned you and Max talking about, banking on a reliever coming in. Maybe you play some of these crazy outcomes. If you look back at that, that was October 8th, when Sale pitched against the Rays and got demolished, gave up 5 runs and only had 3 outs. Tanner Houck came in and backed him up and actually got some length, 5 innings, and he hasn't pitched in 5 days. So maybe there's a world where Sale implodes again, and then Houck at 6,200 has to come in and get a little bit of length, and that would be, maybe something in the big field tournaments I'd burn a few tickets on to kind of be different, because he does have strikeout potential, and a lot of people consider him the right-handed Chris Sale anyway. So that's one of the names I was floating around in my mind when you mentioned the theory that you and Max talked about backup pitchers coming in.
Yeah, and it makes sense to, I think, on a slate like this, again, just, especially where you have to get into those 2 pitcher sites, it probably makes sense to consider some of the value guys on the board in the bullpen roles, especially when we think of it in terms of all these pitchers, all these starters potentially coming out after, 2, 3, 4 innings. So yeah, the bullpen's seemingly a little bit more in play across the board. Any other bullpen spots that kind of stand out to you? Any other names you want to call out for people looking at that?
Looking at the Braves, they went to 4 people yesterday, but they all pitched under 20 pitches, so they're likely available if need be again tonight if Smiley doesn't go deep. So I probably don't want to guess on which Braves reliever might be viable. The Dodgers have been a little bit more into that bullpen than they would like. Joe Kelly's pitched in every game in the last 3 games for them. Maybe Blake Trinan gets an inning tonight. That probably Kenley Jansen probably gets the call every time they can, but for the most part, only name that kind of stuck out to me was Houck, because he hasn't pitched in 5 days, and that would play into the if all heck broke loose on Chris Sale narrative.
Yeah, for sure. And just looking at, I had the Dodgers on the screen here. Kelly only threw 6 pitches last night. He did come into the game, but only 6. I don't really sweat that. He hadn't pitched on Monday. 12 and 12 each of the weekend days. Trenian hasn't pitched since Sunday. Same thing for Bruce Gratterall. So they've got some options there. Some of their high leverage guys as well. I don't think we see any of like Cork Nebel or anybody like that who could have given him a couple of innings. And then Jansen threw 17 pitches last night, but he's a guy who can go multiple nights and not have a problem in that closer spot. So I agree there. I think it's time to move on to top stacks. But before we get into that, a couple things to clean up in the reads here. We've got everybody has to like and subscribe, of course, or we'd like it if you like and subscribe. I shouldn't say have to, but we'd really appreciate it. We've also got some PGA golfer rankings on the site for free. We've got some NBA and NHL player projections on the site for free today. So check those out. Make sure you hit. We've got a good promo going on this week for the start of NBA season. If you want to get your first week of a weekly Awesemo Plus Platinum plan, use the promo code Curry, Curry, like Steph, all in caps at your checkout. Click on the link in the video description down there somewhere. That'll get you to the right sign-up page. It's promo code Curry. Get you your first week 50% off of a weekly Awesemo Plus Platinum plan. That gets you behind the scenes for all the sports that we cover, NFL, NBA, et cetera, player projections, ownership projections. For NBA, we get the Boom Bust tool. For NFL, we've got the Top Stacks tool. That offers good through Monday, guys. So check that out real quick. And that brings us to Jock Market. We've talked about Jock Market a lot. We talk about them on every MLB show this week because they've been kind enough to sponsor us all week long. It's a great site. It's a lot of fun. They're turning fantasy sports into a stock exchange. It's an exciting way to do this. You buy and sell shares of players in real time. You start the day with their pregame IPO to pick shares of your favorite players, and then you buy them, you sell them, you hold them throughout the course of the game. They've got markets up for NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, PGA, all the major sports. You can download it on any of the app stores that you visit. We've got an exclusive promo code going with them for a $50 bonus on your first deposit. It's promo code Awesemo. You guys know how to spell that, all in caps, Awesemo, $50 on your first deposit. On top of that, they're running a first market guarantee, which is just insane value to me. If a new user doesn't profit on their first NFL cash market, they're refunded up to $100. So you get $50 as a deposit bonus, and you get a guarantee of $100 back if you're a new user and you don't profit in the NFL. Can't beat that, Gun. That's pretty solid from our pals over at Jock Market. With that, we're going to skip over the Awesemo Hall of Fame. If you win a contest, if you're top 3 in a contest with more than 5,000 users, tweet that screenshot to Awesemo HOF. We'll get you a free month of platinum. Email me at the support address. We'll get you set up. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Gun, let's get into talking about these offenses. We've done a lot of talking about the pitchers here. What's your favorite stack of the day? We'll start and we'll go in that order.
It's probably the Red Sox here. Looking at our top stack ownership, Red Sox came in as the second highest owned at 25%, almost half of the Dodgers ownership. So it gives me a little bit of pushback versus the chalk, while also trying to pick on a contact pitcher. It's definitely a volatile stack. Like you said, Valdez could eat innings and just ground ball his way to success, but we've seen him leak against this offense, and this Red Sox team just has a lot of guys that are dangerous bats to dare them to put the ball in play. And guys like JD Martinez, Hunter Renfroe, batting 5th and 6th. That's insane. Like there's no real outs off. And even last time we talked, I was a little down on Arroyo and Vasquez, and both those guys came through clutch for them as well. So some of these pitch to contact guys going against some of these hit for contact guys could be a problem. And then if Valdez did not last long like he did in his last outing, this Astros bullpen not very menacing. Neither is the Red Sox to that extent, but I do think the Red Sox have the best go-to guy if Sale collapses. So Red Sox probably for me, as much as that pains me to say. I think it's easy to look at the Dodgers as the most probable team to go off here if they get into Smiley pretty quickly. But that's kind of the chalk answer. So the Red Sox give me the medium of where they're not the highest owned, but they also have the highest run total on the slate at the moment at 5. And Fenway is at 70 degrees versus the mid 50s out there in Los Angeles. So it might be a little bit more hitter friendly than we're giving it credit for.
Yeah, because Boston in October should be warmer than Los Angeles. That makes a lot of sense. But hey, that's the world we live in these days. But looking at the run line, the line in this game and the run totals and everything, we get a much bigger run total in the American League game in Boston with a much tighter line in Vegas, where the Dodgers are pretty massive favorites in this one, more so than you'd expect for a playoff game with only an 8-run total. So that's really swinging the run expectation on the Braves, which is going to be interesting. Going up against Urias, I mentioned his ability with the lack of hard hit against him to limit some of that power upside. The Braves a little bit better against lefties for not striking out, but they're a little bit worse at hitting home runs. They're a little bit worse for power in general. They're the same, just an average team for run creation for sequential hitting. So is that a spot that you're looking at all for getting to some Atlanta bats? I know it's a team we like for home run upside in a lot of spots, but it seems like maybe that's less of an opportunity here today. What do you think of the Braves in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, just striking a 12% ownership as a collective stack. I mean, you just almost never get that on a 4-game playoff slate. Usually just slap 25% on anyone. So to get half of a fourth is a pretty lucrative position to be in if it does hit. All right. Urias is going to be the highest owned pitcher. It's the lowest owned stack. So you get all kinds of leverage. And this is almost impossible leverage to nail down on a 2-game slate. So as a tournament player, that has me salivating and I definitely could see myself with some Tanner Houck and Braves mixes to burn some tickets tonight. Dansby Swanson in that leadoff spot, it's a little bit different. They haven't done that a bunch, but yeah, you get a cheaper price on him to see a couple more pitches and maybe jump on a first pitch fastball, something like that. I've always loved Ozzie Albies against lefties, one of the better hit for average guys against lefties the last 2 years, but he also complements the average with great power, almost a 260 ISO in the last 2 years against lefties. Austin Riley right behind him. Duvall's in the mix. So I don't mind the Braves stack at all, even though I know Urias is pretty talented. This is still a talented offense. So at that ownership, all the leverage in the world, yeah, you can give me some Braves. And if they did hit, you would be separated from the field instantly, just based on their projected ownership, not only for them, but for Urias as well.
Yeah, and that's really where we want to be thinking about it from a DFS angle, right? Is just on that leverage, being able to attack that much of an ownership share on the pitcher, getting to what we have thought all season long is a quality team filled with quality bats that we know have both hit tools, they have speed, they have power up and down. It's just that they're ranked out against the potentially top pitcher on the slate that people are kind of going away from them, and it creates that excellent opportunity to get to them with low ownership. And they're not that expensive either. We're getting, lefty to start the game. Jock Peterson, 2,900 down toward the bottom of the lineup. You need a catcher on DK, 2,900 Travis d'Arnaud as a potential righty power bat from the bottom of the lineup to fill out your catcher requirement. You mentioned Dansby hitting leadoff for 3,400. These are discounts. You get Eddie Rosario stuck in the middle of that lineup for 2,600. Another guy, lefty. But if we're thinking Urias comes out of the game early on, then we're not as worried about that. And Rosario's a capable stick, only a 14.8% strikeout rate over the course of the season. There's a lot to like there. You mentioned Albies with the power. He's also got speed. 30-20 season for Albies this season, 30 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Lot to love there. So yeah, I'm with you on getting to some under-owned Braves bats. I think that makes a lot of sense as a tournament play here. On the AL side of things, any love for going to some of the Astros on the other side? I know you talked about the Red Sox a little bit. Any Astros bats that really stand out, either as individuals or like small stacks that you want to get to in there?
Yeah, they're all. What an insane series that was. That ninth inning last night was just ridiculous. So both teams talked about it earlier. Their bullpens are not great. And we saw, was it 7 runs in the ninth inning for the Astros last night? And this is a team that is very, very talented. A lot of 290 plus averages and a lot of 250, 220 plus ISOs through and through. So if Sale, if you're scared to play Sale, why? Because you don't trust him. Well, if you don't trust him, we've seen the range of outcome for him to absolutely implode, like the Rays got him, and like the Astros have shown a propensity to get to some of these pitchers, especially lefties. So Altuve, Bregman, Correa, guys that stand out to me. Bregman and Altuve more so, and then Yordan Alvarez. I almost feel like you can hit repeat on this speech. He's often overlooked against lefties, and his numbers have been just fine against lefties. And he could be in a really good run spot. And then if he hooks one around the pesky pole, he doesn't have to have as much power against a guy like Sale. So yeah, I definitely don't mind the Astros at all. And then Jose Siri, he made the lineup again, hoping to activate. Made the lineup again. He's still a guy that can be somewhat of a stocking stuffer at just $300 above min price. You'd almost be able to eat that zero if it just gave you a little bit of a higher floor for some of these other guys. So I don't mind the Astros at all. Through and through.
Yeah, lineup we've gotten to, throughout the course of the season, particularly when they've been under-owned. But yeah, Yordan Alvarez and several other of the lefty power hitters in the league, when they get under-owned by just the public in general, just for the fact that they're facing a lefty, a lot of those guys have very good lefty lefty numbers, and Alvarez is certainly one of them. So I like getting to him. And you mentioned Jose Siri, 2,000 dead minimum on the FanDuel slate. It's a 49 plate appearance sample, so it's a lot to just, write off. But he went 304, 347, 609 in that sample with a 304 ISO, 4 home runs, and 3 stolen bases in 49 plate appearances. There's obviously talent there. So that's definitely one I'm willing to get to for the minimum and for 2,300 on the DK slate. We got about a minute and change left. So let's talk home runs. Who do you like for your official home run call? And then any other home run hitters you want to maybe call out for the people?
Let's see. The bomb detector is like in Bregman at the top, and then Justin Turner, man. If he gets a swing at Smiley, I'm in on that.
Oh, I like that a lot. I love going with Justin Turner. I had gone in my column. I had gone out with Jose Altuve. He's number 2 overall in my board. I've got Bregman number 4, but the top of my board is loaded with Astros. So I'm getting a lot of pop for the Astros there. A little bit more justification for going to some of those bats. Getting a little bit of Dodgers in there, a couple of Braves in there as well, as one would expect. But that brings us to the end, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate everybody hanging out for the Live Before Lock. Stick around, 5 o'clock. We've got NBA Deeper Dive coming up with Eric and Adam. Then 6 to 7:30, we've got Eitan and Greg taking you through until after lock. We've got a little 30-minute bonus show coming post-lock. So stick around for those guys. We appreciate it.